Hello, everyone. I'm Marina Pena. I'm a reporter here at AfroLA. And today we're continuing our Instagram live series spotlighting children's book authors who center Afro-Latina characters. And I couldn't be more excited to have our next guest. Her name is Keaira Faña-Ruiz. Keaira is the author of Continuing Counting with Che, the Afro-Latino Alphabet, and Papi Saturdays Are for Cleaning, among other books. She is a native of Wilmington, Delaware. Keaira is both a middle school teacher and a college professor. She's committed to creating inclusive spaces in and out of the classroom. Her childhood dream was to become a published author and a voice for children of color. We'll be getting to know Keaira, diving into her background, her books, how she got her start in children's literature, what fuels her creativity, and also why Afro-Latina representation is such a core part of her work. So let me see if I can get connected to Keaira.
Hi.
Hi, Keaira. It's so good to see you. Can you
Same.
hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Thank you so much. And tell me, where are you joining us from?
I am joining you live from my eighth grade classroom.
Awesome. In Delaware?
Yes, in Newark, Delaware.
That's great. So Keaira, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. We've spoken before, but I really want to know about your background again. So can you tell me where you're from, where you grew up?
Yes, sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I was born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware. I've been in Delaware my entire life. Went to the University of Delaware, majored in English. I'm a Delaware girl. I have spent the last 10 years, 10 years in education in a variety of roles, everywhere from daycare all the way up to the collegiate level. So I'm a little bit of a floater.
Nice. Um, and uh, I'm wondering also, where's your family from? Are they also from Delaware? Um, yeah,
Yes, all of my family members on both sides, my mother and father, they were born and raised in Wilmington, Delaware as well.
that's great. And so you have a lot of books, but I'm wondering, can you tell me a little bit about what initially sparked your interest in children's literature? Why choose children's books specifically?
Yes. Well, I've always loved books my entire life. I was an early reader, which is kind of strange when I tell people that I'm also dyslexic, but yeah, that's a book in itself, right? But I would have to say that my interest in children's literature had to be just my time in the classroom, but also becoming a parent. Definitely inspired my just leap of faith into the crazy world of children's books.
Right. And was it seeing your son or daughter initially starting to read, or was there another memory that really sparked your interest in pursuing children's books?
Well, it was always in me. I just had to, number one, find a project that I would be passionate enough about to finish from start to end. But it definitely was both of my children that inspired that first book, The Afro-Latino Alphabet, just wanting them to have a book that was a positive representation of their Afro-Latino identity.
Hmm. And tell me more about that. Are your children's family from Latino background?
Yes, so I am Black and Puerto Rican, so I identify as Afro-Latina myself. And my former partner, their father was born and raised in Dominican Republic.
That's great. And so were there traditions that you guys would all get together and do together that maybe you wanted to see represented?
It was less about traditions and more about sharing the language with others because I'm a firm believer in Spanish immersion and dual language education. I work at a dual language school. My children attend a Spanish immersion program at their elementary school, but also showing our children, but also our readers, that Latinos come in all shades of beautiful brown and tan and the fairest of skin. So we just wanted to acknowledge that, Latinos is not necessarily a specific look or color.
And do you remember from your childhood any books that showed that? Were there any?
During my childhood, I didn't really have a lot of exposure to Spanish language, literature, or Afro Latinos within the books that were around me. A lot of my early reading years were spent on Black writers and Black characters. I know that whenever I think of my childhood favorite books, Amazing Grace by Mary Hoffman definitely comes to mind. It's a cute story about a little Black girl who desperately wants to play Peter Pan in her school's play, but she's told that she couldn't because, you're a girl and you're Black. So whenever I go back to my childhood, it's like those stories definitely stick out to me. But as I become more comfortable with my Afro Latina identity, as well as helping my children figure out their identity, their cultural identity, I definitely, got a lot more exposure to those dual language books and Latine authors.
Mhm. And so tell me specifically about your books, Counting with Che, the
Mhm.
Afro-Latino Alphabet, uh, Papi, Saturdays Are for Cleaning. Um, Tell me about, we talked about yourself and also your kids, your family, but
Mhm.
what specifically sparked the ideas for those books, each one of them?
Well, with the very first book, the Afro Latino Alphabet, it was like a crazy day during quarantine 5 years ago. My kids had completely tore up my living room, so I'm doing the bedtime cleanup. And my then partner and I were discussing children's literature, and I just said, wouldn't it be awesome if someone did an alphabet book, but with an Afro Latino twist on it? And the following day, because we're in quarantine, so what else is there to do? I just sat at the dining room table while my kids are chasing each other around, enjoying being home with a little bit of cabin fever, and just started writing.
Right. Um, and for the others, were there specific instances like Papi, Saturdays Are for Cleaning? Was that one from something that maybe you thought was important to teach your children, or what sparked the idea for that one specifically?
So it was definitely my experience as a mom, like pulling teeth, trying to get small children to help clean up. But also, I would have to say all the funny skits on social media about, that's just the thing in a lot of cultures to clean on Saturdays.
Right. Yeah. Uh, I clean on Sundays, but close enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have a favorite character from all of your books, or are they all um, a favorite in some ways? Something about them.
Well, all of my books are definitely special to me in some capacity, but I would have to say that if I have to narrow it down, I would have to say the page in the Afro Latino alphabet where I was paying homage to the queen of Latin soul, La Lupe. I would have to say that illustration is my favorite because I remember reading it to a group of kindergartners and they were like, "That looks like you." So
Mm.
I thought it was like the best compliment of my life to, be in the same category as La Lupe. But also with my other book, Black Girls Are, because I just, I feel like every single page I see myself.
Got it. And what do you see about yourself? Is it more than the aesthetic? Like what is it that you see in yourself
Well,
reflected?
the Black Girls Are book is definitely my love letter to all little black girls. So I see myself not just in the aesthetic and, the hair and, the melanin of the skin, but also just all these black girls just busy, in their different interests in STEM and, being creators and things of that nature. And everyone likes to describe me as being a pretty busy bee. So I don't know. I wrote a book where I feel seen.
Yeah. And why is that kind of Afro-Latina representation so important to you? I know it's who you are, but why also write about it, create these stories? What's so important about it for you?
I would think it's because I didn't really grow up with a lot of representation in regards to my Afro Latina identity. I definitely had an array of amazing Black girl magic and representation from the books that I read to educators in my classroom that I grew up with, my friends, the amazing women in my family, to even, the TV shows and movies that I would watch. But it was always that part of me where I'm like, where do I necessarily fit in with my Latin identity? Because I don't look like the women that I see on Univision and Telemundo. I don't look like, Shakira and J Lo. Where do I fit in? It wasn't until I would say my undergrad years at the University of Delaware that I really started to dive in a little bit more on what it meant to be Afro Latino and who I could look at as representation.
And now that your books have been out there, have you heard from families, students that have told you, I really have seen myself represented, or
Yes, that
what
always
has?
warms my heart when some of my current and former students, they'll come up to me and like, yo, like this looks like my family, or even with the book Counting with Che, some of my Dominican students like, oh yeah, this reminds me of my abuela's house. So that's always loving. But I think the readers who reach out to me via social media after finding my book, however they find the books, a lot of them become a little bit tearful, which always, pulls at my heartstrings because they're like, where was this type of literature, when I was growing up? But I'm thankful that I'm able to provide it to my kids and my grandkids for some of them.
Yeah. And uh and do you approach adding uh cultural specifics? So anything of your background, um or something that you saw that was a part of your family's traditions, and creating more universal themes for children in any specific way, or how do you blend the two? That's what I'm curious about,
Mhm.
so that
Right.
things resonate with children of all backgrounds, right? Because anyone can pick up your books, right?
Mhm.
So how do you do that?
I think I focus a lot on food. You'll notice food is a big thing in a lot of my books, pretty much all of them. I'm a big foodie, as well as that music aspect because music is universal. But definitely just like the scenes and illustrations with children either playing together or children with their families. Readers are often able to identify with those particular scenes.
Right. So pulling from music or food that really can resonate with anyone, no matter where they're from, right? That makes
Right.
sense. And I'm wondering, do you have a process that you go about doing things? Uh, do you consult with others? once you get an idea, or do you really start just writing things out? What's your process like?
I love when I get this question because I really don't have an answer. Honestly, it's just my hyperactivity. It's my ADHD. Like, it's, the ideas will randomly come to me. I'll try to quickly write it down, and then, when I have the space and time, I'll just start writing and drafting and editing. So it's really just, I don't know. It comes out of nowhere.
So does it really depend on the idea for you, or
Honestly,
um,
it just depends on my crazy, super awesome, very imaginative, big, creative brain, honestly.
right? And so I'm curious to know, for young authors that really want to get into writing children's books specifically, with underrepresented characters, like say an Afro-Latino character, or maybe a character of an Asian background or a Native American background. What's your advice to a young author, or someone who is pivoting in their career, right?
Mhm.
What would you say to them?
I would say just, do your research, go for it. Don't let imposter syndrome be a thing. I'm very blessed and thankful for taking that leap of faith 5 years ago and publishing that first book, self-publishing that first book, and, betting on myself and all the amazing things that have, you know, come as a result of me betting on myself. But I do still kick myself sometimes, like, gosh, if I would have just did this 10 years earlier, because it's so fun being an author, and and it just opened up so many doors. But I've also been able to meet so many like-minded, creative people in the process and this whole journey of being an author. So I definitely would say, put the self-doubt somewhere else, out the door.
And would you say for you specifically, I know you say, oh, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago, but maybe some of the experiences that you went through as a teacher or with your family, do you think it would have been the same end result of having the books that you have now? Or maybe uh, you would have gone down that route because of who you are, but what do you think?
I think, if I would have had the courage, I probably would have focused more on my poetry at the time, maybe did a novel, but I must say that I believe I am where I'm supposed to be at this time.
Got it. And my last question, what are you working on right now? What are you excited about?
Ooh, who told you I was working on something? So right now I am wrapping up a crazy school year with my eighth graders, but I do have a book currently in the works with my illustrator. My illustrator just, she gets me. I don't think I'll ever want to work with another illustrator. But yes, there is another book in the works. This one was inspired by my daughter. My daughter Amaya is, hi Amaya, is my co-author, because I know I did the Dominican alphabet with my son Joey. Hi Joey. So I'm very excited about this project. It's something that I've wanted to do for some time, but I just had to figure out how to get all of my crazy ideas on paper.
Right. And can we know a little bit more about it? Is it coming out this year? What can you say?
The goal is for it to be out by my birthday month in October.
Oh, nice. So not too far out, right?
I know, yes.
Um,
I got
yeah.
some work to do over the summer.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Keaira. I really appreciate your time. And I know you're a busy teacher as well, so along with being an author. So thank you so much. And I will be posting this. So Hopefully folks will check this out after it's been published on AfroLA. Keaira is the author of Counting with Che, the Afro-Latino Alphabet and Papi, Saturdays Are for Cleaning, and other books as well. So thank you, Keaira, for joining me.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, you too, Keaira. Thank